Okay. Everybody got their mics on?
Yep.
All set, Justin? Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the August 20th meeting of the Trustees of Trust Funds. I'm Chris Christensen. To my left is,
Bill Wilkes.
and to his left is,
Tom Boland, Finance Director for the town of Merrimack.
and I'm sad to say that our third seat is empty. Jack Balcom passed away last month, and I'd like to just have a moment of silence in recognition of Jack. Thank you. Which brings us to an initial announcement that says we have an opening on the board, and anybody who's interested can contact Town Hall at 424-2331 or email us at trustfunds@merrimacknh.gov, and we'd be happy to kind of explain what's required here. It's a monthly meeting for the most part, and you don't have to be a financial genius, but we do manage a lot of money for the school district, the town, Merrimack Village District, and a lot of money in bequests to the town for various purposes. So it's nice to have some knowledge of how the town works and a desire to interact with some of those other agencies. So please trustfunds@merrimacknh.gov. With that said, the minutes of June 18th. Do we have a motion?
I would move that we accept the minutes of June 18th as presented.
Thank you very much, and I guess with just the two of us here, we don't need to, I'll second it and we'll vote 2-0-0, huh?
Correct.
I guess coming up from Tom, do we have any requests from the auditors we're gonna have to act on, other than the routine paperwork they like to see?
Yeah, not that I know of. They're scheduled to be out at the town next week to do their field work. You know, we never quite know what they're gonna focus on from one year to the next, but at this point, I have no requests for information related to the trust fund.
Okay. At some point in time, this is just a quickie on the notices, I guess. One or the other of us, or both, I guess if we both get together, it's a meeting. We can't do that. But we need to touch base with Jonathan, our new IT manager for the town, and talk more about getting more of our stuff, our historical stuff, online in a cloud someplace, so it's more secure than just a box of papers that reside in a file cabinet and can be more easily accessed by future boards as well as members of the town. So that's on the to-do list. Portfolio review. I have not received my copies of the July statements. Have you?
I don't think so. No, I have not.
Okay. I think they've been working on the annual reports, which are due, and that's the next item on the agenda. So I don't think we have anything new and exciting in the portfolio review category, unless you have something, Bill.
I have nothing.
And we have a revised investment policy that we're required to review and approve every year. We've changed, as with the list, according to the minutes of the last meeting, we took off the town treasurer information, which really doesn't apply to us. We've had a little bit different language about benchmarks, and what's required now, I think, is just for, if we're all okay with that copy that was circulated, then we just need to sign it and file it with the state. Are you okay with that, Bill?
I'm still curious about a couple of things. I reread it last night. The NASDAQ US Broad Dividend Achievers Index. I'm just curious why that was selected as a metric. And I don't know if we ever got an answer on that. And then there was another thing in here that I didn't, it was about, let me see if I can find it. Opportunistic fixed income may include high income, high yield.
High yields.
Yeah, emerging market debt. I wasn't sure that we were gonna do things outside of the US, especially debt instruments.
Okay.
So those were two things that I guess I could accept the NASDAQ. I still don't understand why that was chosen, but, and I guess we've never asked for an answer or been told why they selected that, but the other piece of it about,
The opportunistic high
Yeah.
yield bonds.
yeah,
My take on that was more corporate paper rather than emerging markets. So for example, we used to own TGLMX, which is a total return bond fund. And that was years ago. And it was yielding 4.5% to 5%. But it was also heavy into A minus, B, double B, corporate bonds. So it was a little bit more risk. We didn't have very much in it, and we don't own it anymore. We haven't for years. But it was a high yielding bond fund, so I'm thinking it might be something more like that. When we get our third trustee in place, then we'll have Cambridge Trust come down and we can go over it. The next I think it's the next sentence, further down in the text says that we may change the benchmarks from time to time as market conditions dictate. So I don't think we're locked into that, but it's a good idea to have a starting point. And if we're gonna pay these guys, we have to trust them a little bit.
I'm okay with it. I mean, we can change this. I don't see them doing anything drastic on a regular basis.
Right.
So if we need to change this or wanna question any of the, I'm not gonna lose this document, and I'm not gonna lose the red line. Next time we talk to them, I'll ask them,
Okay.
so.
So we just need you to sign the 3 copies there. We also need to officially approve the MS9, the MS10. That was on the Axiomatic portal and has been circulated to everybody. You okay with those?
Yes, I am.
Okay. By consensus then.
I just wanted to point out that DRA had raised an issue last year about the MS9 form, and particularly the column that's labeled principal new funds.
Mm-hmm.
And they were quite adamant that column should only include amounts that were authorized by our ballot vote. But there are other things in there, again, this year as it was last year, and I anticipate we're gonna get similar questions and kickback from DRA on the way this works. I don't know where else you would put whatever's in, it's investment earnings that are in there. But I had thought that Cambridge Trust was gonna resolve that with DRA, and I don't know that they have.
They did resolve, at least to my understanding, the question about losses. Because if we had 100 shares of something and we sold 50, then at the end of the year, that column said, oh, you only have half as much money here because it was a dollar figure, not a number of shares. You only have, so you lost half your money, which wasn't true because we sold it. But they had no concept of buying and selling within that particular spreadsheet. So, with all due respect to DRA, I think they've got a long learning curve there. And it's not necessarily DRA. I think some of what they're getting is from Axiomatic. They certainly, when they developed this stuff, did not, to my knowledge, ask any trustees of trust funds. They did not ask any of the financial advisors that are doing business in this realm. So, I don't know what to say, other than that, you know, we just gotta kind of watch them and let Cambridge Trust take the lead, and since they're the ones that are actually filling out the form for us.
Okay.
I agree with you, and I know they had another title in there that I've never had anybody explain to me properly, called capital gains dividends. I have no idea what that is. And I haven't had anybody that could tell me what it was, or where it would come from to go into that column. So, just, if you know what it is, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, that's an interesting title. Capital gains dividends.
Okay.
Unless you had it in a dividend reinvestment program or something, and they're talking about some capital gains that went back into the DRIP. But man, that's really,
That's pretty obscure.
that's pretty obscure for sure.
Although, you know, we used to have some drips. It took a long time to figure out how to allocate everything in and out of those. Okay. Correspondence. We have a bill from the school district for gym restoration at James Master Kohler Upper Elementary School, $170,000, $170,200. They sent some pictures that I forwarded to everybody. Looks pretty nice.
Looks very nice.
They got, I was interested to see the finish is a gray and blue, school colors, I guess, as opposed to a varnished look. But I guess that means it's probably some different material than just a varnished floor that has to be refinished every 3 years.
No,
So-
it looked very nice.
Yeah.
I think it was a nice improvement.
Well, I think it's nice for kids going back to school to come back and see something like that and say, wow, this is nice, and have, you know, it builds, as well as practicality, it builds pride in the school.
Right,
So-
right.
And, you know, it's the all-purpose room, so the rest of the town gets to use it as well. So anyway, do we have a approval to pay that?
I motion we pay the bill for the upgrades to
Okay.
J Muse in the amount of $170,200.
I will agree to that, 200. We also have, just came in this morning, or at least I picked it up this morning, a deposit for the Timothy Gibson Scholarship Fund, $5,880.72. And I don't think we need a vote, but I will deposit that appropriately.
It's a nice addition.
It is. Well, they're back to running a softball tournament that they couldn't run last year because of the COVID restrictions. So that's a good deal. I have a schedule for future meetings on September 17th and October 22nd. Those okay as far as you know?
They work for me.
Anything else that may properly come before the board? Tom, you got anything?
I do not.
We haven't had anybody, our MTV people put out a nice Facebook, I'll call it a commercial, PSA, public service announcement, about our opening on the board, but I haven't had any, responses to it yet. So if you think of somebody that we can fit in here, that would be a good thing to do.
I've thought, quite a bit about it, and I was thinking about our meeting time. Like if we had a younger person who has a full-time job, is there any way we could adjust our meeting time so that that person wouldn't be in conflict with their regular job?
Oh, I'm sure we could. I don't have any problem with that. But I haven't had anybody call and say, gee, I'd like to find out more about it. When do you meet? I don't think most people know when we meet, for that matter. They just see us on TV and whenever, and it's not evident whether this is taking place at 7 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock at night. But yes, obviously part of the reason we meet at the time we do is because it fits into the schedule of the people we interact with, whether in the school or the MVD or Cambridge Trust. So, but
I mean, you and I have already discussed this, but I think if we had a younger person, it would be a wise thing. If we had somebody that was interested and dedicated to it, but younger, it would be a good thing.
well, I have to agree with you on that. In the meantime,
Motion to adjourn.
we are adjourned. It is 9:17.